And we are on.
And we're live.
What is up, everybody?
Hey, what's going on, people?
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Tonight's episode, we are joined by accredited psychic Marie Francis. You can follow her at Marie Francis 31 on Twitter. She also has a website. We will be putting that in the comments here momentarily.
Be sure to check it out, y'all.
There we go. And we don't have anybody watching just yet, so we can just play around a little bit.
Okay.
Brandon, how can I get this into? I don't want to be in the private chat. Oh, there we go. Okay, what is your handle and stuff?
My handle?
No, your website.
Oh, mariafrancis.com.
All right, mariafrancis.com. Hey, what's going on, Dustin? What's going on, Lisa? .com. And how long have you been doing this privately, like, for your website and stuff like that?
You mean professionally as a paid
professional.
medium? About 8 years. About 8 years.
About 8 years?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, when did you know that you were different from everybody else? I mean,
Probably since I was a little kid. I always felt like the oddball weirdo.
right.
That I couldn't really connect with other kids. So I grew up in a very dysfunctional family. So
Right.
I didn't know if it was that or something else. And, lots of stuff. I grew up in a very strict Catholic household. So sharing
Right.
what I would see and dream about was something I just simply wasn't going to do. And
Right.
as I got older, it got stronger. And by menopause, oddly enough, it was completely out of control. Completely.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I thought I was having a nervous breakdown. I mean, menopause in itself is bad enough, but when you have other stuff going on, it'll send you running to the hills. So I met with we moved into this house, and something was going on in the home. I thought my husband was coming home from work because somebody was coming. It sounded like somebody was coming in through the garage to the kitchen.
Right.
And I'm yelling down to him, and he's ignoring me. And I go down there, and there's nobody there. And this went on for several days, where I could hear papers being shuffled on the kitchen counter, and it sounded like keys got dropped. So it sounded like he was home. And then the dog started alerting to it. So then I'm like, I'm not imagining this. So I met with a medium who was close to here. I've never met with a medium. I didn't know if they're accredited. Are they with the Better Business Bureau? Right. I didn't know where to go. And I met with her, and she determined who it was. And we met for an extensive amount of time. And she says, "Do you know that you have abilities?" I'm like, "You are hard up for money, lady, if you think I have abilities," because I thought she was crazy. I thought she was I was so skeptical. I thought she was trying to make money and, have me come out again. And lo and behold, she's like, "Look, if you want to learn how to rein this in and do this, I'll work with you." And it was a good 2 years before I decided to do it professionally, because my hindrance was charging people money for something that I didn't feel secure enough doing. I mean, when you're charging somebody money to do something, you want to be on your A game. So I didn't want to mislead anyone or be wrong or be way off base. So it took a lot of gumption to decide to do this professionally. So.
Right. Now, when you do your readings and stuff like that, do you use tarot cards, or do you just do it by what's going on?
I don't use tarot cards. If I use cards, they're oracle cards, but it's very rare. It's more of a little accessory to the reading. I am very astute. I can read photographs.
Okay.
And before I did the readings professionally, I would work with a couple of paranormal teams that would reach out to me from Twitter and Facebook. And they said, we have a client, and here's some pictures from the location. Can you pick up anything? And I'm like, well, I can try. And apparently what I was picking up after the investigation, they're finding out that it was ringing true. So I'm like, well, hell, I can do this.
That's awesome.
So, it started from there. And I ended up joining a team when my small team dissolved, and he asked me to join him, and it went from there. So the photographs from clients was paramount to the investigations.
Now, have you ever seen like photographs or anything like that from an investigation you've done and immediately picked up on what spirit is what,
Oh, yeah. Big time. Big time. Sometimes a couple of them took my breath away, and you have to be very cognizant how you present that to a client, or deciding what you're going to present to the client, what you're going to keep to yourself, and how to phrase that, because these are people who aren't astute in the paranormal. And, we sometimes, when we're in it, we forget that this is frightening for some people. This takes them, off guard. So you don't want to say, yep, there's a dead lady in your basement and she's a hollering all the time. So, especially when they're small kids, they don't want to, that's a lot. That's
it's a lot definitely to take in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, for you being accredited and stuff like that, I mean, on an average, how many people reach out to you a year?
Oh, I would have to count. I don't know. 50? It waxes and wanes. I noticed with the weather, with COVID, people are getting a little stir crazy, and they're thinking, and they don't have the distractions of work. They don't have the distractions of going on vacation or actually leaving their home. The holidays, it will pick up, because that's a rough time for people who've lost loved ones. Things like birthdays of people like that. I'd have to go through my case files and see, if there's a particular trend to it.
Now, have you ever helped out any police forces or FBI or anything like that? Being in Northern, I'm just asking.
No, I got I got information. It wasn't solicited, and I have a friend who's with Prince William Police Department, and I said, "Hey, this is nagging at me, and I don't know why." And I forwarded it to him, but what he did with it, I don't know, because it all depends on the police department and how they see that type of thing. If that's something that they'd even bend the ear to. So I gave it to him. I don't know what he did with it, and that was up to him. I wasn't, I'm like, it was weighing heavy on me, so I shared it with him, and I left it at that.
Right. And now, has any case ever affected you, like either emotionally or just mentally or anything like that?
Have any cases?
Yeah, have any cases?
Oh yeah. Yeah. When I first started the whole paranormal thing, the guy, my co-lead, and I went to a private residence, and this is a guy who was desperately looking for help. He was in Northern Virginia. They had the guy who gave me the lead, he reached out to a medium in Sweden, and she was like, this is messed up. This guy is a mess. There's some sort of level of demonic activity, but she couldn't determine how severe. And we went out there, and I'm telling you what, never again.
Oh, really?
But I saw the guy, the co-lead I had was very much astute in the dark arts. He was very familiar with it.
Oh,
and
really?
I was not. So I'm just sitting and listening, and I'm running the video camera and whatever. And I'm sitting there, and what presented to me as he was being interviewed was horrendous. I couldn't wait to leave. I could not wait to leave. And we got in the car, and I said, we're not taking this, because at a minimum, this guy has a demonic oppression. This is going to go into full demonic possession. I'm watching this guy sweat. compulsive eating of candy. I mean, oh God. Unless you have talked and interviewed somebody who's at a particular level of demonic, I don't know, suppression or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Nothing compares to it. And we wouldn't take the case. I told him that we are not exorcists. At that time, we didn't have an exorcist on the team, and he became horrendously awful. I had to block him on the internet. He was horrible. The language, filth, and when I presented the crucifix on my signature on my email, he livid. So that was pretty bad.
I'm sorry.
But live and learn. So
Right on.
So I started educating myself on demonic oppression, possession, and obsession, which are three different things.
Yeah. Now, have you, like, just for instance, if you ever gone to like a store, if you're talking to one of your friends or something like that, do you ever see them and oh God, and tell them something that you're seeing or anything like that, or do you mostly keep it to yourself?
If I feel they're in danger, I would certainly say something to them. But to arbitrarily read someone is a big no-no. That's an invasion. Right. It's like ripping out their diary and reading it and just, sharing, hey, I just read so-and-so about you. But there's times that somebody will find out that that's what I do, and it will be in a social setting, and they'll ask, hey, can you? But I do not willingly or share information that's not solicited or asked of, I always ask permission. I don't randomly, vomit what I'm getting from someone. I mean, I'll pick up bad vibes from somebody that I don't know too well, and I just either walk away or distance myself from them.
Right on. I mean, you can just basically sense it off people's auras, I think. Yeah. I mean, if they're a good person or if they're a bad person or something like that. I mean, it's harder to do through the internet than it is actually in real life, because in real life, you can actually tell, basically what type of person they are. But in the internet, I can't tell. Well, when
I do client intake, I will ask for a video interview. And I use that specifically so I can pick up their vibe. So I can pick up, and before you know it, they start sharing more information that helps me determine the causes of the haunting or the causes of activity. And that also helps the client get to know me a little bit better, because I'm going to be in their home. So,
trust them. Now, when you have a client, when you go into a client's house or anything like that, do you have them, because I know our group, we have them sign release forms, waivers, everything, basically, hey, we're going to be sharing your stuff on our YouTube channel or whatnot. Are you okay with this? Are you okay with this? Sharing the evidence we got with you. Then we'll come back and meet with them and tell them either we have it debunked or we solved what their issues is. I'm not a psychic. I'm never claiming to be anything like that. But I am with two spirits, and
the readings that I do are just a sideline to the whole thing, because, I could make up anything if I were, a horrible person, but the evidence is the evidence, and you can't refute the evidence. Orbs, light anomalies, stuff like that, that's debatable, and that's always a hot button issue with paranormal investigators. But as far as the liability forms, we have 6 forms that go through confidentiality to liability to, if we have the evidence, what do we do with the evidence, not divulging the address and the names of the clients, the whole thing. And I present that to them when they decide they want us to come in, and I send it to them in email so they're familiar with it, and they have time to digest it, because I want them to be fully aware of, because I'm not getting, in a legal situation with somebody.
Right.
And you'd be surprised how many teams don't use liability forms at all.
Right. I really should. That's a must. Any educated person was going to use liability forms. You don't want to get your butt being sued by,
oh my God.
Or being accused. The reason why we were saved is because we had everything on tape.
Right.
Because we were accused of some nasty, nasty stuff. from
Oh
a
my
private
God,
investigation. So
yeah,
that's why I was
I'm,
telling you off before we started this. That I don't do them anymore.
right.
'Cause-
I can see how that happens. I can see how that happens. And a lot of teams don't want to handhold. I definitely handhold some clients. I mean, I had poor girl. I think it was over 350 emails she sent to me in 2 weeks. She was afraid.
Do you have access to your internet by any chance? Or do you have access to your email by any chance?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to email you a video, and I want you to watch it, okay? And tell
Okay.
me what you see off of it. This is
Okay.
one of the investigations that we had. It's not a public house investigation. It was actual investigation of a full body apparition.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And Brandon's going to ask you a question or two while I'm doing this up.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you ever, like, you know, the older cases or like old murder cases that are still unsolved? Do you still see them sometimes? Like, do you know, like, what's going on with them?
You mean if I see something on television?
No, something like being portrayed as on there that is still unsolved. Do you still see it like you want that you can try to help them that you know more than they do? Pretty much that deal.
There's times that I'll watch, you know, a documentary on television and I get an overwhelming sense of that's not how it went down. This is where they're going to find her. And you know, I crawl out of my skin, but you know, what do you do? As far as unsolved crimes that I would have access to, you know, contacting law enforcement, you know, I've never really delve into that I don't know why I've never done that, but I've never done that. So I guess because it would be so stressful for me. I don't know. Because being empathic, you know, it's hard to do.
True.
So.
Okay, I just sent you that email, Marie.
Okay.
So, yeah, just take a look at it. It's from the Avenel Plantation in Bedford, where we didn't get very much activity through that night. We got a couple orbs, but I don't really like orbs and stuff like that because it can be so easily debunked by either a bug or anything like that. We got a couple voices through the SB7. No solid real EVPs or anything like that. But
okay, I'm trying to find it.
It's coming through my regular email to you. I don't know if it's fully sent yet.
Yeah, I don't. It said sent you link, and that was for the show. But wait a minute. Here it is. Got it.
Okay.
Okay. It's with the hamster's running as fast as he can now. It's saying it's not.
Might take a minute or two for it to upload.
Let's open it up. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Okie dokie.
Now, just let me know when you're done watching it. And,
okay.
So how's everybody else doing tonight? What's going on, Lisa? What's going on, Dustin? What's going on, Nate? And the third person watching us, what's going on? You guys having a good Friday?
Not too bad. How was yours?
Oh, not too bad. Chilled out with D most of the day.
True.
Okay, I'm trying to.
It's very quick. It's only like 15 seconds, but you'll see me walk through the full spectrum camera, and what's in the background? There's only me in that video. That female is not me.
Are you serious?
Yes, 100% serious.
We
did not see it until we reviewed our tape the next day.
Oh my God.
Way. Now, can you get any sense of that?
Oh, something was definitely following you.
Right.
I mean, it's following you, but I don't get any maliciousness from it. I get more of a curiosity.
Right.
Very, very curious as to what you're doing and possibly why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Wow.
What I was
Wow.
looking at, what's that, ma'am?
I would have lost it.
No, we really did. We didn't see it until we reviewed the tape next day. Because every time I do an investigation or anything like that, I'll go through the next day and review the tape. I'll spend hours going through all the keys and everything
Sometimes
like that.
it's drudgery, especially you don't find anything. No, that's amazing. That's amazing. I notice a lot that when we do our thing, they follow you, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I always have to break down what I have in my hand or what we're using because I'm thinking they don't know what this is.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, you're sitting there telling them, "Hey, talk into this box right here. I can hear you," and stuff like that. You know, I mean,
you're talking to something from the 1700s, and they're like, "Oh my God, this lady wants me to talk in a box."
Yeah, exactly. The biggest question I have for you: okay, have you ran into any recent gigs like 1900s or 2000 ghosts? I had never one. I want to meet the ghost that's gonna be like, "It's Britney, bitch," type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like some early 2000s.
Somebody who's more current. I'm trying to think.
Your head. There you go, Jay.
I mean, I run into more of that with my reading clients, where somebody has just passed months ago. You know, when we're sitting in a very calm, I have a room downstairs where I use for my business, but I'm trying to think on, well, no, we did a case in Haymarket, and the woman who was there, she hadn't died that long ago, and she didn't have a problem knowing exactly where she needed to talk, and she was pissed off. So, but as far as you have to wonder, I mean, 50 years from now, when people do paranormal investigations and the dead could be a little more astute to technology, I hope I'm alive to see it.
Have you been ever reached out by any of the families that's been affected by this disease, by this virus?
No, I don't know. None of my clients are dealing with it. I have a client who's dealing with.
See, also.
You mean COVID? They're dealing with COVID? No, I've got a client dealing with cancer right now, but not anybody who's been lost to COVID.
Now, this is kind of a dark question, but can you sense, like, if you're talking to somebody like that, like, can you sense if something like's bad with them, like if they're gonna die or something like that? Or if they have like a dead relative right waiting for them to come home, you know, or type of stuff?
I always tell clients that I refuse to answer questions of when they're going to die or if they're going to die.
Right.
That's not my place. I have had a situation where a woman lost a baby before it was full term. And the transition from the soul of that child to her living child.
Right.
Something was brought through that there was a transition process from the one child to the other. But as far as them waiting, it's frequent that like a grandmother will wait for the grandfather, and she was there when he passed. So she helped usher him in. That's it's I hate to say common because it sounds like I'm trivializing it, but that happens more so than not, that one spouse is waiting for the other.
Right on.
Sure.
Yeah. And I don't want to ever pass before spouses or anything like that. I'd be sitting around bored, haunting the snot out of them. If I pass before Brandon, I'm totally coming to his house and throwing like cookies at him.
I'd be coming, if the reverse, I'd be coming to your house and doing the same thing.
Oh my God.
Be like, bro, I'm gonna hunt you for the rest of my whatever my
Like I posted the other week, man, if I died before anything, I want somebody just to change my status to chilling with Jesus and like occupations haunting me.
I'll move to Jamaica.
Oh my God. Or who you think is here ain't.
Oh, geez. Nate says he foresees Dustin getting killed by a squirrel.
Oh.
That takes a whole new meaning, squirrel nuts.
Now, is your husband into the paranormal field or everything like that? Now,
Absolutely not. He's supportive, but he's like tonight's something. My house is active, so something was in this evening, and I handed him a K2, and I said, "Look, hold this, and you go over there, and I'm going to have the meter here." And I heard him stop walking, and I'm like, I walk over, I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "It's going off." I'm like, "Why didn't you tell me?"
Oh, wow.
He says it's going way over to that orange part. And I'm like, okay, well, it seems to be wanting to be with you because it wouldn't register with my meter. But there's something in the house at least once a week here. Because my dog, I've got 2 large dogs, and one is super, super sensitive to it. Yeah. And he goes stark raving insane when something comes through and foaming and then pees on something because he's very protective and territorial, which it's mayhem in here when that happens because the other dog doesn't understand what he's doing and then he gets upset with him. Thank God. It's nuts. It's nuts. So
Dustin's asking.
He's federal law enforcement, so he's more, scientific and logical, but he's more of a believer that since he's met me than ever before in his life because he has seen just way too much to say that stuff doesn't happen.
Dustin's asking, can you just turn it off like when you want to, can you read the comments at all by any chance?
Over in live comments?
Yes.
Oh, hey, technology. If I do not ground all the time, I wouldn't be able to turn it off. I'm always aware because I want to be aware. I have to be very cognizant of light energy and especially dark energy. So turning it off would mean that I'm very well grounded. I have to prepare myself if I'm going to a historical location. I have to prepare myself to go to Walmart because I can't handle a lot of crowds. But historical locations, I will have to ground and protect and do my thing to the nth degree. If I go to like the graffiti house or if I go to, the Exchange Hotel. Antietam was a big one because we had a Union general get in the back seat of the truck.
Right.
And just talked to me the whole entire time. And we actually found where he fell at Antietam. He wasn't buried there, but he fell there. And Keith, my husband, was freaking out. He could not believe I got a name. He's like, we're going to find him. We're going to find him. And we found where he fell, which was an odd place in Antietam, but we found it. And, but yes, I can, you don't really ever turn it off. You just control it.
Right. I mean, now we just did before this whole coronavirus all started and stuff like that. We just did a battlefield not too long ago where we got another full body apparition on like the camera and stuff like that. But
where were you?
Over at Hanging Rock Battlefield in Salem, Virginia, or Catawba, Virginia.
Oh, okay. I know. I'm familiar with the area. We were out there at a distillery in that area.
Right.
I like my vodka.
Yeah, it happened. But, what we were doing when I first did this place, and the reason why I know about this is because we were doing the battlefield with my old group, and we really didn't get much activity and stuff like that. I'm like, and I have a really bad back. I can't walk around too far.
It's the same way. God bless you.
Yeah. And where I went and sat in the chair and stuff like that. I'm like, well, I'm bored. I'm going to do a quick EVP session and do an SB7 session. And quick, we're getting like screams, like, help me, like clear as day, like, help me. And all this other wild stuff happening. Like, I'm like, my arm hair is like sticking straight up. And I'm like,
oh my goodness.
And we kept on getting the word murder put through it, and murder, and so I went home that night and I looked it all up, and sure enough, back in '79, there was actually a double murder there that a guy killed like two people. It was a teenage love triangle type of thing.
Oh my God.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. Then
that's very interesting.
Me, Salem, and a couple of South Cake was there and stuff like that. We went back up there, and while Rich and I are walking around, I was walking up a little embankment, and I slid and I fell. But right when I fall, like my camera, I had my full spectrum camera, and you'll see like a Confederate soldier just standing there watching me. I'll send you those pictures if you want.
Wow, that is amazing. Stuff like that is absolutely amazing. I don't think we've ever, I mean, we've caught glimpses of shadows and things like that. You know, a lot of the temperature stuff doing its thing, and then, you know, K2 stuff doing its thing. But I don't think our clients have, you know, they claim to have seen things, and they're unnerved, and there's some places in their houses they wouldn't go to, because the children, young children, were seeing full body apparitions in their bedrooms. I mean, little children, like 5.
Right. Oh, wow. I mean, I have about 7 spirits that live here. Like, they're in this house. And like, when I first bought this house, we used to have really a lot of paranormal activity. Like, we were walking down the stairs, and we used to have a painting hanging above the door, and we hear this wah 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 wah, and then next thing you know, the painting flew at me, and it came about an inch from me, and the glass like shattered all over. We've had
is the home old?
No, it's really not. But this house was moved from a different location, and like gone to this location, and I guess I don't know what the history of this land is that we're actually on and stuff like that.
If you go down to the courthouse, you can figure that out quite easily.
I've actually tried. We've actually looked up the history and stuff like that, and really didn't get too much. Although there was like a old road back of our house and stuff, because we have this little spirit named Tommy that is constantly in here, and he's jiggling door handles and.
No.
Oh, Brandon's back.
Hi.
Hey, Brandon. Oh, sorry about that, buddy.
Fun.
Yeah, he had to go use the restroom, so cut him out. He has to get up and go.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Right.
Yep.
We've had a couple of people investigate here. I've done a couple EVP sessions in my house. I've done actual full investigations. Like Salem came over, we all did one. And we had like my old group came over, we all did one here. Brandon and his wife Carissa came over, and we did a couple of EVP and like quick SB7 type of stuff in here.
I had a team come out to this house because I had enough, and they were amazed at how active the house was.
Right.
And the hits they were getting on the K2 and the SB7 we were getting, and good EVP. So I was surprised. They didn't get rid of what was in here. I had to go through a great deal of clearings to get one thing out of here. The rest don't bother me because they come and they go. But yeah, that's wow. I haven't had anything like move like that. It's just more of the dog and the devices alerting, the REM pod and what have you going off.
Brandon just texted me, okay, coming back. He's right there. Where'd he go?
Oh. I'm back. It's magic.
Hi, friend.
A lot back on
No, we keep running a lot. Like I said, Oh, we're not talking about UFOs. You're the first episode. We're not going to talk about UFOs.
Oh, I don't know anything about them. I don't want to. I can only have one thing at a time.
Right on. Now, what you call it? When you first realized that of your ability and stuff like that. Now, did you do any did you have a friend help you out with the training? Did you go to an apprentice?
Yeah, that medium I went to, I trained with her for almost 2 years.
Okay.
And she moved from Spotsylvania to California, and so that was that. And then I was pretty much on my own. But yeah, and I work with a couple of folks now who I have found out have abilities. And, I feel bad for these folks because it's good information is not readily available, and you have to decide if you're going to, what route you're going to take to start your work. If you're going to do a Christian-based study, or if you're going to just do whatever and not really rely on God or anything for help. I went the pagan path when I first started, which was a massive mistake for me. And then went back to my Catholicism because I had a situation happen in the house that landed me in the hospital via ambulance one fine morning. It was absolutely horrible. I don't know why I didn't think of that before the demonic thing. We were dealing with, I could see a shadow figure in the master bath. And you know how you don't want to feed into, is it a shadow or is it just, the night in reflections? Yeah. And I felt chased out of the walk-in closet we have a toilet room, then we have the master bath, and then there's a walk-in closet. We could hear, it sounded like a rather large rodent running across the ceiling of the bedroom. Yeah. And it would stop corner to corner. And my husband finally heard it, and he said, he's trying to break it down sensibly. He says, it doesn't make any sense because for something to run, it would have to stop, jump over a joist, run, and that's if no insulation is between the joists. He says that thing is running as if there are no joists and there's no insulation. And I could hear scratching in the walls. I could hear knocking. And the knocking would be on the left wall, then the right wall. I mean, I thought I was losing my mind. Keith and I were fighting like dogs, and I can't even tell you what we were fighting about. Towards the end, before I ended up in the hospital, the smell of rotting meat coming from the bathroom was hideous. And it was so bad, and I was so afraid. I mean, Keith's looking at the septic tank. He's looking at everything that would cause, a septic backup. And one morning I was going to leave my husband, and I had an appointment with a real estate agent. I was leaving. I couldn't tell you why, but I was going, and I started to feel dizzy, and I'm like, I need to eat. So I went to the refrigerator to get some yogurt, and all of a sudden it felt as if somebody was taking me and turning me upside down slowly. I could not. I had vertigo so bad I had to hold on to the counters. I started throwing up. All I remember is throwing up, getting the dogs into the garage, calling 911 on my hands and knees, between throwing up, talking to the 911 dispatcher, calling Keith at work, and I said, I don't know what's wrong. I think I'm having a stroke.
Right on.
And every time I opened my eyes, I vomited.
Oh, wow.
And the rescue squad got here, and I said, I can't open my eyes or I'm going to puke. And I was so embarrassed because it was all over the place. It was all over the rescue tech. And he's like, oh my God. And they get me in the ambulance, and he says, well, don't open your eyes if it's going to make you vomit. And I'm trying to open my eyes a little bit, and I'm vomiting, and they're running out of the little puke bags I had in the ambulance. And I get to the emergency room, and I'm puking all over all over the place. And I did a CT scan, an MRI, X-rays, blood work, urine analysis, everything, and they had not a clue in the world what was wrong with me. They admitted me, lots of fluids because I lost so many, and left with nothing.
Oh, wow. Now, would you say that was your most aggressive experience you've ever dealt with? Or
yeah, and it was my grandfather, my Polish grandfather.
Oh, no kidding.
Who was
asking that.
Not a nice person when he was alive. I don't know why he picked on me because I was 5 or 6 when he died. I didn't even know him. I knew of him. And the stories told, it's just a long, convoluted story, but I wasn't relying on my faith because I really didn't have a faith to get me through that. And I think that was literally a come to Jesus moment. But I had tremendous nightmares when I got out of the hospital. I would go and fall into a deep sleep within minutes. I was horrible. It took me about 2 weeks in order for me to be able to walk without falling over. It was bad. It was real bad. So, I mean, I sound like a crazy person, but
No, not at all. I mean, we're all a little bit crazy. We investigate, blacked out rooms to sit there. Hello, is anybody there? Talk to me. Type of thing,
Do you all smell perfume? I mean, we look like lunatics sometimes.
Oh, I know.
Oh my God. But yeah, so I had that, and that sent me back to the Catholic Church, and I met with a priest, and I told him my deal, and I had to start over. I had to get it together because I was afraid this thing is going to kill me. And I finally got my grandfather out of here. So his story needed to be told, and he wanted people to know that even though he did some bad things in his life, not everything he did was bad. And that was true. Not everything. I found newspaper articles of things that he helped a lot of people, but in his personal life, he wasn't a nice guy.
I'm sorry, I'm just reading the comments for a second. Here, I'm going to put this on the thing. And what do you think about that?
My old boss used to get it all the time. We used to have her lay down in the office and call her husband. Yeah, some people will get vertigo so bad that it's debilitating, and you have to do those exercises where you lay back real fast. And the doctors did this with me, but it would only make me puke even more. So, and they didn't give me any meds for it. So, and the exercises, I couldn't do them because the vomiting was so bad, and it. So whether it was vertigo, I never had it again. So I don't know. I just think it was too circumstantial to have all that activity going on in my house, and just in the master bedroom. It wasn't like it was going on someplace else. I'm screaming in my ear. It sounded like trumpets were blaring in my ear. So he was presenting trumpets and screaming in your ear, and the smell, obviously, and the knocking, the 3 knocks. He was presenting like a low-level demon, even though he wasn't. He was just being a big, giant jerk face. So, yeah.
Right on. Excuse me for a second. I'm going to step out for a second. I just got to use the latrine.
Okay.
So,
does anyone else have any questions? I mean, ask away. Let's see here. That is true, Nate. Safety first.
The what?
He's reading comments.
Yeah, we're reading.
Okay.
Let's see here. I don't have that capability to bring that up. So, Nate, that's what your favorite drink is Bud Light?
I like dark beer. I can't drink light beer. I'll get sick. Oh, can I see auras? Was that new or is that nice? Yeah. Can I see auras? Sometimes I can. I'm not as good as I've got colleagues who one girl is very, very good at it. I'm just not as astute as others, but occasionally I can. I see them from my pendulum. I have a hematite pendulum, and I will see like it's almost like a gray orb it looks like it's being sucked off the bottom of the pen. I can't explain it, but I don't know if that's an orb or me losing my mind. So, but no, I can't see auras as well as other people. Oh, I'm sorry. She said I was talking about Jay.
He said safety first. He was talking about something about safety first, and
oh.
it's all good. Let's see here. It really is interesting about how orbs and auras are actually semi-connected together. It's really strange.
Well, it's the more I read, the more I feel there's a whole lot more to be discovered about light energy and energy fields than the average person knows anything about. My theory is that when we die, this casing goes and it's energy and it just goes someplace else that we can't see with our eyes. There's only so much human beings can see with their regular can you feel lost spirits emotions? Most definitely. Sometimes it'll bring me to tears, and I'll lose my shit at a location because it will be overwhelming.
Can you see Brandon and my aura, the color of our auras?
No. I mean, I don't know. It's that loud shirt Brandon's got on. No, to see it when I can see the aura of my hand, but I have to put it up against something white, like a wall or white colored. Some people can just see them all the time. I used to have a meetup with like-minded people, and there was a girl who used to. She could see them no matter where. I mean, she was awesome. Wow. Yeah.
Now, Dustin's asking here. I'm going to put this question up here so you can read it too.
Okay.
Then I'll get Nate's question.
The gray colored in the aura or gray? Because I mentioned gray coming off the pendulum. I still don't know what that was. I don't know. And that's happened several times. While you were at the restroom, I have a hematite pendulum. Oh, it's down in my room. And I will work with it, and I'll be staring at the heavy part, and it's like this gray mass will pull off the pendulum and kind of hang there. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen, and I've got two pendulums, and it only does it with the hematite one, and couldn't tell you what it is unless it's just that little hematite's energy is coming off. So that's the strongest pendulum I own. My crystal one's okay, but she's not. And I don't know why I call her she. I don't know what the sex of my pendulum is, but I'm just, my hematite pendulum seems stronger. It's more of my go-to. So,
do you have a drink or anything, Marie?
Do I what?
Do you have a drink or anything like that, like a water bottle?
Finished it.
Oh, you gotta hold it up, because this episode of Scream Time with Jay and Brandon is brought to you by Miller Lite. Wait, right. There we go.
And Smirnoff.
Mountain Dew. It's kind of our tradition.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Did you see how I put that in there the last video?
What's that?
Did you see how I put that in there the last video?
Yeah.
I told you I'd figure something out on that. Nate, now question there, Jay. asked if they were trapped by evil spirit.
Oh,
If,
sorry, I didn't even see that one.
It's right under Dustin.
I'll put it on right now by name.
Hey, Michael, how are you all doing?
is what trapped by an evil spirit?
I'm not
He says,
sure.
are they trapped by an evil spirit?
Might be the auras that we were
Oh, the
speaking.
gray color. I think maybe.
Oh, no, I don't think that has anything to do with it. Hematite is a very grounding, very protective stone. So that'd be the last
lost
place.
spirits. He's talking about lost spirits.
Are lost spirits trapped?
Yes.
That's a good question. I have read differing opinions about lost spirits. You know, some will say that a lost spirit is just someone who won't embrace moving on or going to God because they feel guilty or they feel connected to the living. In shamanic terms, a lost spirit could be somebody's living is holding on to a portion of the person who's passed, and until that person gives up, they won't go on. A lost spirit could be unaware that they're dead. So there's different theories on lost spirits. You know, we all know the residual thing. I don't think they're lost. Right. They're in a loop.
My personal opinion is like with ghost spirits or anything like that, that it's like purgatory. They either stay behind before unfinished business, or they died so fast that they don't realize they're dead and they don't want to go to the white light because they have a story to tell. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think that's what happened with my grandfather.
Yeah, I mean, that's my personal opinion, and that's the way I look at when we're going into them. I'd rather have, like, going into a, say if we did go into a residential place, which I don't do anymore. Everybody knows that. But if I did go into something like that, what I do afterwards is we either recommend them having them sage the place, or we line them up whatever type of religion they are, whether it be Wiccan, Christian, Norse, Buddhism, Muslim, or anything like that, whatever type of religion they want, you know, and have their house blessed, you know. But that's just my personal opinion. Like,
yeah, I mean, our team, we always, because we do exclusively residential, people want whatever is there out. And so I have a conversation with the dead people or person that's there, relay their story, because they usually have something to tell to the living person. There is a distinct connection and why they're there. And then everybody's on the same page, and I tell them that it's okay, that their family has gone, they're waiting for them, that it's okay, and there's no reason to stay behind anymore. And that's that, and they move on. We haven't had a situation where the haunting continues. You know, so our clients have been very good and diligent about keeping the vibration high in their homes and using prayer and you know, things like that, and trying to not have dysfunction and drama in their life as much as they can control.
Now, do you see Dustin's question?
Nate had one also above that too, Jay.
Oh, sorry about that.
I didn't see it.
Do you believe there is a dominant spirit present within? Yes, I do believe some spirits can control others and be bullies, like they were in the when they were alive. That they can prevent other spirits from leaving. They can intimidate them. Some negative spirits to me are they're bullies, and you have to call on the bully. You've got to, just like in real life, you got to step up to them. You might get a black eye, but at least you got to step up to them.
Now, Nate's asking, does the light hurt a lost spirit?
A light, like
as light as in the
when he did,
tunnel, like religious, you know, they say you see a white light.
No, it wouldn't hurt them. It wouldn't hurt them. They might be afraid of what it is. I've had a situation at Spotsylvania battlefield where they're unsure of what they're supposed to do. And I stand there right with them and I say, look, this is what's going to happen. You might see this. Don't be afraid. I'm right here. And I'm like, you're going to see your mom. You're going to see your dad. And if you see them reach out, go to them. because they're hesitant because they don't know what's going on. That's my take on it. So I don't think it would hurt them. They might be confused as to what it is, especially in a war situation. If they were killed, and it wasn't like, you know what I'm saying, like cold or you were sick or something that you didn't know what happened to you, especially younger soldiers.
Now I got a question for you. Speaking of like soldiers and stuff like that, when I was deployed, last time I was deployed, I used to have like orbs and spirits in my room and stuff like that. Now,
oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, sometimes I couldn't understand them and stuff like that. Now, and you also see on like all these other channels and stuff like that. I mean, I don't really follow the ghost hunting things on TV and stuff.
Right.
But can they transform their language to your language so you understand them, you think? Or is it like, if you're in Germany, would you hear a German ghost? If you're in Iraq, would you hear,
that's a very good question.
I get what you're saying. I would imagine, I would think if it's residual, it's going to be in their native language.
Right.
But I think if they wanted to communicate with you, it would be in a language that you understood. That's just, I'm not an expert by any means, but I know with Native American hauntings that are more residual, or they really don't want you to know what they're saying because they want to be speaking to their native peoples, that they would speak in their native language.
Right.
That's just my take on it.
Now, I know this is different. I mean, Jay's talked about this a couple of times, but the other night we were watching on Family Guy, and they were talking about the purpose of life. And the dog was talking to the baby about why is death a certain way, and they kept going about it. Now, like I said, I know it's a cartoon versus real life, but
right.
Could there actually be something out there that we're not really told about when it comes to life and death?
Oh yeah, I think I'll tell you, after all of with this mediumship stuff and me studying about demonology and then studying the angelic realm and all of it, I'm no longer afraid of death. I just think it's going from one thing to another thing. This body that we were given rots because it's organic matter. Yeah. But I think we very much go to something else in the energetic.
Well, that's what I was talking about. I know in the Bible it does state heaven and hell, but
right.
With that, purgatory and
I think they're different states. There's states of being, because when the Bible was written, it was written for people to understand at that particular time in history. Because if you started talking about energetic fields and all this stuff, this farmer from Jerusalem is not going to understand what you're talking about. Yeah, it's a little bit much. But
if you're talking about the Bible, I mean, the Bible obviously has flaws in it because it was written by man. And any man wanted the interpretation how whoever wrote it interpreted it. You know what I'm saying? Like not trying to be disrespectful towards any other languages or any other religions or anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like playing the game telephone. By the time you get to the 50th person that you've repeated this story to, a lot gets lost in translation and stuff gets omitted. There are books that have been omitted from the Bible. So, you have to put a historical perspective on it as well. So.
Okay. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
I was going to ask you, sorry, I get a little bit just like caught off guard for a second.
Okay.
We do that every now.
What's that?
We do that every now and then.
A glitch.
My brain tells me to say something, but my mouth's like, what the crap did you just say?
Now, being a psychic, what is the difference between being a psychic and a empath? Or like
An empath?
Yeah.
An empath is the way in which you pick up energy and how you respond to that energy. A psychic is you get information from something else. And a medium is a person who gets information from someone who's deceased.
Right.
So an empath, I've met a lot of, empathic people, some more astute than others, but empathic people will pick up a vibe of somebody in very distinctly. They can pick up the emotion immediately.
Right.
Some of it freaks them out, and they get panic attacks and anxiety attacks if they don't know exactly how to deal with it. It's like almost like dealing with PTSD.
Yeah.
For some people, it's varying degrees of being an empath.
Right. Now, are you an empath too, or are you just like psychic?
No, I'm very empathic.
All right.
Yeah. That comes with the territory. I don't think I've ever met a psychic medium who wasn't empathic. I mean, you almost have to be.
Right.
It's just you have to be very well grounded, so you're not running around crying and laughing and looking like a lunatic when you're, talking to different people, because you're picking up everything like, a vacuum cleaner.
Now, here's a question for you, and this is not ill will or nothing like that. How would you prove that psychics and empaths and mediums are real? Because 90% of people, or at least on the Twitter land and everything like that, believe that they're all phony.
And some are. Some are full of a tremendous amount of crap because they talk in generalities. They talk in
riddles and ask you questions and try to lead you on to get answers.
Exactly. And some do research. Some go to your social media pages. Some will ask questions to lead you, to give you information that they need. It doesn't make any sense. That's why I go from the photographs. That's all I want. And then when I can give specific details as far as body gestures that the deceased person had, specific clothing, specific phrases that they would say, possibly foods that they used to eat, hobbies that they had, the illness that they had, the location of the illness on their body. I'm trying to think of other little things. Oh, like specific flowers. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head cases that I had where it was very, very specific. Clothing, particular flowers that they grew in a garden, stuff like that.
All right. And now, have you ever used your ability to benefit yourself? Like, if you could see yourself, to avoid a negative situation, say that you're going to go to your in-laws' house and there's going to be a horrible fight or something like that. Do you ever just
because
stay behind that because don't involve me? Come on now.
No, I'll tell you, because my faith is so strong, I know that God's not going to give me anything I can't handle.
True.
Right.
That's how I go about absolutely everything. I don't fear anything. I fear Joe Biden becoming president more so than anything else, probably in anywhere. I just don't. But the fear factor's gone. So.
He ain't gonna be anyways. We don't touch hot topic subjects.
Do you think? Now, do you think paranormal investigators like me and Jay, Lisa, and some of the people that's in the comments, are they actually considered almost like psychics and mediums? Since we do,
I would consider. I would think, and I would hope that most paranormal investigators at least would be very intuitive and slightly empathic, because your intuition is that gut feeling. I feel watched. I feel that there's something going on down this hallway. I feel, or you go into a room, I know you guys have done this, go into a room and like, oh my God, it's so heavy in here.
Yeah.
That's what that is. It's your intuition and your empathy. And some paranormal investigators, I would imagine, would have a level of mediumship abilities and psychic abilities. It all depends on how developed and how fine-tuned it is.
Yeah.
You'd have to be,
Now, would you be able to, like, because I'm going to be able to go to like an investigation or something like that, and I can walk in and tell if the place is like, I either get like, if there's nothing there, I don't feel nothing.
Right.
Or if something is there, I'll either get a feeling of like heavy, like
you're being
darkness, or I'll get a overrushed with emotions, like where I'm feeling sad and depressed.
Then you're empathic.
Man,
if you're feeling that emotion, you have no real reason as you, Jay, to feel that way. You didn't get in a fight with somebody or you didn't lose somebody. Then that's being empathic. When you feel that heavy sorrow or fear, like of an entity of a small child, something like that, that's being empathic, and that's such a great trait to have as a paranormal investigator.
Right on. Like, I mean, when I first moved in my house, and I think that whatever is in my house is happy now because they don't really bother us too much. They let me know I'm there and stuff like that. But like when I first moved in here, I just felt like this like overwhelming with sadness and like scared and like paranoid.
Right.
I don't believe that there's any malicious spirits here or anything like that.
You'd know it by now, I would hope. Yeah.
I would hope so.
It's shoved down the stairs.
No. They threw a painting down the stairs at me. And they tried scaring the snot out of me. I tell you what, like they threw a painting at us. They opened up the dishwasher. They like jiggled door handles. I came out in the middle of the night about 3:00 in the morning, and my TV was on. I woke up because our house is completely silent, and I woke up. The TV was on, and I walked out in the living room. There's like a shadow figure just sitting on my couch. I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna take my happy ass right back to bed.
You stand your ground, and you're like, look, you can hang out here, you can be here, but don't move stuff, don't destroy stuff, don't wake me up, don't do this. It's like having a roommate. You don't want your roommate waking you up and throwing things at you.
Well, I've had conversations with people like, if somebody actually had like a camera in this house or something like that and recorded me all the time, they didn't think I was nuts. Like, I talk to them all the time. I'm like, I'm like, I wake up. I wake up about 5 a.m. every morning, or if not a little bit earlier, and I'm like the only one up in my house. I'll have like full blown conversations with myself. If somebody was actually watching me, I'd be like, y'all fucking nuts. You need to be locked up.
Now, can you?
Well, I think we all are that way to a degree. You have to be to survive.
I think any paranormal investigator is a little bit out there because who else in their right mind going to sit in a dark room with a little voice box and be like, y'all can talk to this little box now. Come on now. It's just between you and me, buddy. This little box right here with a black. Come on.
If you think about the conversations you have with things that nobody can see, I mean.
Right.
Can you say that a little louder?
Exactly.
Can you touch me?
I mean, we've all said these phrases doing investigations and stuff like that. I mean, it's pretty common.
Hurt me that you're here. I've said that a few times.
Go knock on the wall. Like this.
Oh my gosh!
And then when you wrap up for the night, it's like, okay, nobody comes home with me.
Not really,
y'all need to stay here.
I was talking to Dustin and Lisa a couple of shows back, and they said they had one follow them home from a place they did, and like they all had to like basically talk it out of like staying with them in their vehicle on the way home.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'll happen. That happened to us. My very first investigation it went at one of us in the car. That was not fun.
Now, did you see? Do you see Michael's comments and Demon Tate?
They're
I'm not putting
having their own conversation.
that. Nate's asking the Disney Channel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of investigations, though, can you tell? Now, Jay knows my situation on a few YouTubers out there that actually fake the investigations just to get the people. Can you actually sense that? Like, if you go into a home or just in general, can you sense that place is actually not haunted? Or
Oh yeah, I can talk to somebody and realize that they're looking for fame and glory. I had a client just recently, and she desperately wanted more activity than there was, and I'm like, there's not, and I worked with her and gave her resources and a lot of answering questions and what have you, and then I found out from another. And I don't think people realize that we network. Paranormal teams, especially in Virginia, we all network. And then we'll hear about a case and we're like, that sounds familiar. And then I contacted this investigator. I said, is this, I gave him her name and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, what? And she's like, she said that you guys didn't know what you were doing and you couldn't find any more evidence. And I'm like, oh, no, she didn't. So I contacted her and I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, I put a presentation together. We got, we didn't get EVP, but we got K2, questionable hit on the SLS, but a lot of K2 in the crawl space of the house.
Oh, so
and I'm like, yeah.
I have one too. I love it.
Oh, it just, oh, and she's like, no, I didn't contact anybody. I'm like, don't lie.
Right.
Don't lie. I said, if you want to get another team, that's fine. I don't care. That's great. And then we can compare notes, but don't lie. And don't present me as some fly-by-night paranormal investigator doesn't know what she's doing and didn't have any evidence, because I blatantly have the evidence that, I have on my hard drive, and I also gave her. So, but there's people, and I'm sure you've met them, who are frequent flyers, and they want the fame and glory, like they think they're going to be on the Travel Channel. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It is.
Sickening.
I mean, I don't even post half my stuff because why? You get more haters out there that say, oh, you're faking evidence or blah, blah, blah. You're just like, I don't care. I do this because I want to do this.
Yeah.
I know the truth.
I have a good job. Brandon has a good job. I make plenty of money.
Right.
I'm good. I don't need to be worried about, something else.
Exactly.
The only thing which, like, my job can afford me is the opportunity to buy better equipment.
That's third time. Yeah.
I know. I just bought the, what is the data? The data bank?
Yeah.
Have you seen that newer device? I just bought that. It comes next week. I'm so excited.
Oh, wow.
No, I posted the evidence. We had the best SLS evidence from a case in Stafford, Virginia. And if that was the only evidence we captured at the time, that would be one thing. But while this was going on, the K2, the other investigator standing with the K2, and I'm talking to this entity, and the entity, you can see it on the SLS, and the K2's going insane. So we have two things. And I posted that to Twitter, and this guy's like, oh, no, you just mapped in the wood in the basement. And I'm like, well, I have the K2 as well. And he's like, well, I don't know what that's about, but the SLS, he didn't buy the SLS stuff at all. But when the K2 stopped registering, the stick figure on the SLS disappeared. And this went on for a good 10 to 15 minutes. It was unbelievable.
After this episode, I'll email you some of the videos I got on my SLS camera. It's pretty cool stuff.
He's got some
sometimes, and I can see when it's, I can see when it's mapping in a vertical, like the cabinet or a chair. You know, I'm not a dope.
Well, I've met with people. I've met anytime I do before when I used to do client investigations, I used to have them meet me at a public place and I'd review the evidence they have. I had this one lady. I'm not going to call out anybody or anything like that, but she go bring us videos of like her cabinets opening and like stuff getting thrown around and everything like that. I'm like, I know I've seen this video. I know I have. And like, I ain't saying shit to her because I'm being nice as possible, you know, maybe like, you know, and sure enough, I go on YouTube after I left her place, like literally on the drive back to my house because my friend was driving. I find every single video that she showed us on YouTube. Like, come on now, why you gotta fake us like that? I was like, oh boy, she's trying to rob us or something.
Oh God! I sat in on a client interview for a team in North Carolina, and the team lead asked me to sit in to get the feel for this couple, and I'm like, the couple can't see me, and I'm mouthing to the investigators, they're full of shit. They're showing us videos, and he's like, oh, but the demon's under my blanket. And I'm like, no, dude, that's your foot. That's your foot. You're lifting up. It was so ridiculous. And I was embarrassed for them because it was so ridiculous. And we found out they were trying to get out of their lease. And I said, you're not going to get out of your lease with your landlord due to paranormal activity. I'm sorry. The clause in there.
Man,
oh my God. It was so bad.
I'm going to call the bank and be like, I need to, I'm not paying my mortgage no more. No. That's how it's not going to happen.
It's unreal.
Boom.
You know, it's almost like that woman I was telling you about that first time we came up there, about the alien ghost and all that crap.
I'm just saying good night to Salem and them.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know what the heck you were doing.
Love, guys. It's some good people. You ever get definitely freaking talk to them. I don't know if you follow them on any social media or anything like that, but there's some great people.
Who, Salem?
Yes. Salem, Virginia Paranormal.
Oh, I'm trying to think if the name of the girl, she does Civil War reenactments with her husband.
I'm not sure if Carolyn and Rich do that. But there's
I have to look. There's so many, as you know. Are you guys on Facebook?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, I am, but I'm hardly on it, though.
There we go. That guy is. Look, I don't want to hear about people's happy little bullshit lives. Like, you know, when they're at home sitting there screaming and fighting with their wives and everything like that, be like,
oh God, I unfollow all that. I can't. I do it because that's how a lot of my clients find me, because of my business page and then the paranormal page, because of the networking. And sometimes we get cases through that, but yeah, no, it's a bit much, and everybody's home now, so they're reporting everything. I mean, just it's too much.
Have you I think the best evidence for paranormal wise is found off of like small streamers. I think small streamers have the best evidence, because like once you make it onto the Travel Channel or A&E or some of these other channels, like you falsify so much evidence because you want to gain that viewership, you know?
Oh, well, you're pressured by the network, because that's money for them. The bigger the glam, the more money those networks make, and then they're pressured to embellish evidence or blatantly make it up. That's why I stopped watching Ghost Adventures. I watched it when they first started out, but now I'm like, oh, God, I can't. Because it's phenomenal, the amount of evidence that they get. It's just, I like it when they.
I'm sorry, but you're not going to get and evidence out of every single place you go to. Like, I've done numerous investigations where I've had to go in and debunk the place. Be like,
Right.
yeah, the reason why you're getting spikes and you're feeling eerie and stuff like that is because you are going to have that feeling when you have a power box right there,
Right.
or you have the
Right.
old knotted tube wire in the walls.
Right.
You think it's cut off, but it's not. I can get a reading right here. I stick up
Right.
EMF right to it, you know.
And
I hate
people
to do
don't,
that to
and
people
people don't
because it's
realize
so-
that. And radon and gas leaks and things like that.
I mean, you feel horrible about it, but I mean, that's the truth. I mean, I'm sorry. The reason why you're experiencing this stuff, there's nothing paranormal going on here. I mean, then
Well-
I also like to, I don't know about you, but I like going to a place blind. I don't want to know the exact history of it on certain locations. Like on a residential place, I
Right.
don't really want to know
Right.
because I want to experience myself, then lining up with theirs to actually
Right.
like make me a believer.
Yeah.
If I go in there with a false sense, like, oh, this is what's going on and everything like that, I'm gonna be like, okay,
Right.
this is what I'm gonna expect, and that's gonna be playing in my mind the whole time.
Right. The residential, we don't go in blind because it's a private people. But
Yeah.
I like going to historic locations, not knowing anything, not
Right.
per se for investigation, but for my psychic mediumship abilities and being
Yeah.
able to be confirmed what I'm sensing and seeing by a docent or the tour guide or whatever you want to call them. That happened at the Warrenton County Jail. Woo!
Yeah.
If you've never been to the Warrenton County Jail, go.
I haven't been. I've never even heard of it. There's a lot of
I mean, it would be quite the drive. Or the graffiti house in Brandy Station is freaking amazing. And I went there. I just went with my husband. A friend said, "Oh, go. You might enjoy it." And I'm like, "Holy hell!"
Y'all
And that
need to
place
go to places down here. Have you ever gone to a poorhouse tunnel?
No, I heard about it. But I've never been.
I got some videos. I could only last like a half hour there.
Really?
Yeah, and like the feeling of emptiness and like you're just sitting here, you're hearing children's songs and like children like calling to you. And I got
Oh my God.
I went up to this like pentagon that was drawn on the wall, and
Yeah.
I got demonic voices calling. And I couldn't make them out or anything like that. I can probably play them for you, and you can tell me if you hear anything.
Oh, I'm at the worst at this. I have the worst hearing for this stuff.
Trust me, trust and believe on that. I've been deployed.
Yeah.
I'm missing half right here. I can't. But
That tunnel right there. I was with him. Well, we were with him when we went. It's
Yeah.
in there. I mean, it is really
I'm
intense.
trying to think if we went there.
here, this is
Is it
the
like an unmarked road?
no, it's right off the interstate and it's marked.
Okay, then I was at a different tunnel that was haunted. I just can't remember which one.
Now I'm gonna play this for you, and you tell me if you hear.
Okay.
I got that on full blast. Do you hear that?
Yeah. Okay. Don't play it anymore.
We tried to debunk and figure out what it was, and
It haunted my dreams for like a good month. Like
Oh God.
I was having demonic dreams of like blood on the walls, like just some
Oh
pretty.
my God.
I'd be waking up in the middle of the night and like it was pretty messed up. We're gonna go investigate there again.
yes. Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think if my husband and I went there. It was pouring rain. It was the worst conditions to go.
That's the best.
We
condition.
had to be.
Yeah.
That's the best conditions. 'cause,
There
like,
was a guy there. There was a guy just standing around. There was no car.
Oh really?
I'm like, just in the rain, and I'm like, my husband goes everywhere armed. So I wasn't worried, but I was like, what is he doing? And then he's like, where's his car? And I was like, why is he in the rain? And Keith's like, where's his car? Where did he drive here from? How did he get here? And it never dawned on me. I don't know what the guy was doing. And I didn't want to get out of the car. And I'm like, this guy's ruining everything for me because I can't get out of the car. I have to ask him if that's where we went, because I heard about this tunnel, a tunnel. There's got to be more than one haunted tunnel in Virginia.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was asking if you've gone to the 360 house up in Mechanicsville. I've been there a couple times, and like, it's pretty.
How is that?
It ain't worth it. I mean, it's.
Oh, really? It's overdone.
Like, it's overdone. But I'm also the type of person to be like, oh, this one is like, this place has been over haunted. The spirits are sick of it. You can feel that when you like go into a certain place where it's just been like constantly investigated. You can tell with that. And like, they had 2 houses on the location, and I ain't trying to badmouth because I like the people that run it and stuff like that. But they said there was a murder next door, which the guys there was a legitimate murder next door and stuff like that. But you really didn't get the sense of like, you didn't get the full story behind it, And
I think some locations are running on sheer reputation, and it's not.
That's what I feel like, about certain popular locations. The ones that I've been to that like well-known locations are legit, or like going to be like Waverly Hills. That place is by far my best investigation I've ever been to. Been to Sweet Springs Sanitarium over there in West Virginia. That was a really legit place. Kind of overly haunted. I mean, overly investigated, but it was still cool. Destination Fear lied their asses off when they went there, which kind of like upset me because I usually actually like them. It feeds the machine doing that,
which is sad. But I don't think I've had friends who went to Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum several times, and they said they herd them in like cattle. You're rushed through the place. My ex grandmother-in-law, her whole nursing career was at the Trans Lunatic Asylum when it was in full operation. And I don't know if you've ever been. It's like a stereotypical loony bin. I mean, it can't get any. I just have melted ice. It can't get any more frightening. But that owner's boy. She's making serious bank on investigations and tour groups.
Oh yeah, because
it's so contaminated. I don't know how anybody investigates there with all these people walking around.
I didn't get any solid EVPs or nothing like that from there. We did have a couple of personal experiences, but we don't know if that's because of the environment that we're in or whatnot. But we had a good time. Like, I would like to go check it out again because it's like going like 2 hours away from here. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was there before that woman bought it and renovated it, and it was a mess at the time because my ex-in-laws, that's the hometown they grew up in. So.
Oh, right on. I've done a couple places in West Virginia. I'm going to be doing one at Sweet Springs once all this stuff ends, and I'm going to be doing another one in Ohio, part of a haunted or unhaunted, where we're going to go in and try to prove that the place is haunted or it's not.
That's good.
Like,
that
the
really
show's
helps you
actually
get
towards
solid field experience. That's amazing. That's good. And more of that needs to be done. Do you have some sort of baseline?
Right. I mean, I'm all about, if I'm doing certain places, I want to go in there and try to debunk it and stuff like that. We got a couple other places lined up here and there, and we want to really, like this year, I want to hone in on places, well, before all this stuff happened, as places that are not highly investigated. I want to go to more battlefields. I want to do the Appomattox courthouse where the North and South came together, because that ain't that far away. and a couple other little places. I want to go down to South Carolina to Hell's Gate and just some other places. Like, if I had to choose like my ideal investigation, I want to go back to Utah and do, you know, I want to do the freaking Skinwalker Ranch or Hellstown over in Ohio and Boston, Ohio. Those are just like places I'm like extremely interested in, you know?
Yeah.
But that's me personally, just because I'm curious. Like, I'm not doing any more private like home investigations and stuff. And like, I don't know too much about cemeteries and stuff. I haven't really done that many cemeteries, even though they're everywhere around here, and especially in Virginia.
Right. I tend to think that they're not that haunted, because I would think the dead would want to be where they remember when they were alive.
Right.
Instead of where they were plopped when they were dead.
Sorry about that. But yeah, that's the way I feel too. I feel as if you're going to be doing why don't you go to the place that they passed at instead of the place that they're buried at, you know?
Yeah, because the body's already, your consciousness and whatever is already gone before you get put in the ground. So that's just my feeling.
In Ellison, Virginia, where the slam over, I can't remember his name now off the top of my head. I've also had quite a few beers, but we'll edit that out. But he was buried straight up and down. So after he passed, he wanted to watch over his slaves to make sure that they knew that he was there watching them. So don't, you know.
Oh, where? Oh, God, that's so familiar.
In,
you know, he's not the only one that was buried like that. I went to a very old cemetery in North Carolina near the coast, and a guy, oh gosh, that had to be in the 1700s, was buried like that. I think he was buried upside down, but I think he was buried upside down because he would not relinquish his loyalty to the king, because when, you know, the British still governed the area. I think that's what it was. North Carolina's got some really great places to.
Oh yeah, they do. I still want. I've been to North Carolina. There's a lot of places in West Virginia I want to go check out.
Yeah.
My dream investigation is still Eastern State Penitentiary in Pennsylvania. I mean,
a friend of mine. Well, I had a relative do 5 years there.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well,
God. Then I had another relative was at San Quentin and got the chair.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, this episode of Scream Time Parent is brought to you by Miller Lite. Tastes great, less fillings, 96 calories per can.
Lovely. I would have a big fat headache. Can't do light beer. No, there's places where, that's why I like to go to different odd places with my husband, because it helps me do work on my thing. And it also helps me, because some of them are very chatty and they want to talk to you and they want to just confirm something. And the graffiti house in Brandy Station, which would be quite a drive for you, but it was absolutely fascinating, and I had no idea what I was in for when I went.
I don't mind driving if it's under 8 hours. If it's under 8 hours, I'm good.
Oh, you should be able to do it. Look it up. I think it's been well publicized, but I didn't realize how publicized for paranormal investigations, because it's a privately run place, so that's how they make a lot of their money. But the upstairs is very, very active. Very active.
Right on. Now, I have a question for you before we call it.
Okay.
Watch, I don't know when we're going to call it or anything like that. But would you be open to do a reading on either Brandon or I?
Right now?
Yes, if possible.
I get more from you, Jay, than I do Brandon.
You could do a reading on me. Let me go to the bathroom first. I just want to just to show people your.
You can also do a reading on Chris if she wants to.
Yeah.
I usually don't do this, but you're pinging on my radar, Jay.
Yeah. All right, let me go to the restroom really quickly and grab a couple more drinks. I'll be right back.
Oh my God, I couldn't.
This tea break is brought to you by Miller Lite. It's great.
I'm gonna drink it. That's the reason why I had to go.
Oh my God. Jeez. I'm old. I can't drink like that.
Let's see here. Yeah, he is right though. There's a lot of places in Virginia that are out there, and here in Tennessee, there's a lot of places also.
Oh, you're in Tennessee? I just assumed you were in Virginia. Okay.
Well, we live probably 2 minutes from the state line.
Yeah.
We live right on the border of Tennessee and Virginia state line.
So are you near Asheville?
About 2 hours.
Okay. I've been to Asheville once. I loved it. It's the cleanest area ever.
We're in the Tri-Cities.
What?
We're in the Tri-Cities.
Okay. Next year we're selling the house and we're moving to the Winston-Salem area in North Carolina. But that's an area of the country I want to see more of. I'm done with cities. I like the country. I like the mountains.
Oh, I do too.
I like real people. So
that's what I was thinking about this COVID. If I could get away with it, I would move to the mountains and stay there until all this is over with.
Yeah. I mean, do you blame people moving off the grid?
No, I don't.
I don't. I see why they do it. This was just a small taste of this for me. I'm about done with our governor as well. So unless he wants to drive the Virginia economy right into the ground, hey, he's well on his way. So, have you been ill, Brandon?
I have my allergies, especially when you get like 60-degree weather. My allergies and like get clogged up and stuff.
No, I mean, have you experienced like significant illnesses in your life?
Not really.
No.
Me.
Well, I mean, sure.
Yeah, function.
I'll let you. Now she has. I'll let you talk to her. There you go.
Okay. Hi. How are you?
Fine. I told him that he might be vibing off me because I have what's known as Chiari malformation. It's a serious neurological disorder.
Okay.
And I had surgery 4 years ago for it.
Does it affect your respiratory system?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm getting. I'm getting respiratory, something with respiratory.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to deal with that.
No, you're fine. When I was little, I had chronic bronchitis, and I would want my grandparents to breathe, and they would have to take me to the emergency room.
Who is the older woman that has passed that is very close to you, or you were very close to this older woman, very doting, literally took care of you, like physically, emotionally, spiritually, the whole thing. She was your everything. It's an older woman. I see it as you being young and her being significantly older.
That would be my Mama Thompson, but she didn't die recently. The recent person would be we called her Granny, and she died about 4 years ago.
Okay. I see her with you.
Yeah, she lived with my grandmother.
Okay. She's very much with you. She's very connected to you. Do you ever sense her?
Sometimes.
Okay. Very loving. Very loving, very calm, very reserved. She didn't draw a lot of attention to herself.
Yeah, that would be her.
Okay. Well, that's nice. That's a nice person to have.
I mean, I'm more about now about positivity and love to everybody than anything else. No, we just have fun, man.
That's good. That's good.
Laughter is the key to happiness in life. That's the way I personally feel. Like, honestly, like I laugh about any type of situation or anything like that, whether it be good or bad or anything like that. And I find humor out of it, you know? I mean, because if you can't laugh, about
No,
life.
it's true. Or you'd jump off a bridge. You really would. You can't take everything personally or to heart or overthink it because it's just a mess if you do.
Yeah.
Would you all like to ask any questions? Who's all still in here? I'm not really for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think Carrie, Nate,
Michael,
Michael is. I think.
you
You getting tired on us?
Yeah. My husband gets up at 4 a.m.
I
normal.
I'm 56. I am old. I can't stay up late anymore.
I can't either. Trust and believe on that. Like Monday through Thursday, I'm out by 9 o'clock.
I'm supposed to be, but
I just don't.
Oh my God. Yeah, we're usually
But I don't sleep that much. Like I'll probably average about 4 to 5 hours a night.
same for me also.
I would be an ass in the morning if I got that little to sleep. I couldn't do that. That's too little. I have to have my 7 at least.
Oh, I know somebody like that.
Really. There's mornings I can be an asshole when I get up.
Every morning.
It's not an every morning.
Anyways, we got about how much longer you want to go? Remember? How much longer can you go, Marie?
I'm exhausted.
All right.
I mean, if that's okay, it's just been a long day, and I've been. We're actually setting up an investigation when the quarantine's lifted for Virginia. And it'll actually be our first commercial investigation. So I'm very excited.
Do you want to promote it or anything like that?
I can't yet because I'm still in the legal waiver stages with the owners of the location, and I don't want to divulge anything until he's at a comfort level.
Okay. Do you want to promote any of your stuff before we get off?
One Guardian Paranormal is the name of our team.
Okay, Guardian.
One Guardian Paranormal.
One Guardian. Now, do you spell out the one, or do you just have the number?
ONE.
Okay.
Okay.
Paranormal. And where can they find that at?
On the web and Facebook.
Facebook or Twitter, Instagram.
We're not on. No, I don't do Instagram. It's on. We have the website is oneguardianparanormal.com and Facebook.
Okay. And what is your? Let me see if I can remember this one right. I think I know this one. I'm not stupid. There we go. Tell me if this is right, and I'm putting it in the chat right now, and I'll show it.
Yeah. And then I have Facebook. If somebody was, interested in a reading, Maria Francis, Spiritual Medium, I think it is what it is.
Maria Francis.
Spiritual Medium, I do believe is my title. Because right now with COVID, I'm doing Zoom readings, FaceTime, and Facebook Messenger.
Now, how much do you charge for readings and stuff like that?
$100 an hour, and then $50 for 30 minutes.
Okay.
And if it's a client who we're doing a paranormal investigation, that just comes with the free, obviously, investigation where I share a reading with them.
Right on. There we go. Is that correct?
I don't know. I don't know what my Maria Francis Spiritual Medium, because you've got it all one word.
Yes.
For Facebook, but people will find it. It's Maria Francis, and you'll see it's a picture of me, whatever.
Oh,
or mariafrancis.com. They can find me on the web as well.
Right
So,
on.
and then
And
they can read my reviews.
thanks, Nate. Appreciate it.
thank you, Nate.
Well, you all enjoyed this episode, and this is Jay and Brandon signing off. Thanks
Bye,
again.
guys. Thank you. It was an honor, and I certainly appreciate it.
Marie, hold on for a second. We'll be talking back room. All right.
Okay.
You guys all have a good night. Peace.
Bye. Be careful, y'all. Stay safe. Positive.
Peace. Wait.
All right. Here we go.
There we go. Yes. We'll get it eventually. There we go.